All right, so we're live. Um, Welcome, ETM Hotep. Welcome to Divine Words Wednesdays with the Seshew, mdw-ntr. I want to thank everyone. Appreciate, apologize for the tardiness. We try to start at 9 p.m. on Wednesdays, and here it is 9:42. So we are definitely running late. Apologize for that. For those who do support and tune in and look forward to hanging out with us on Wednesdays. So again, I'd like to apologize. But before we actually jump in for this Divine Words Wednesdays, we want to start it off and do support and tune in and look forward to. Yep, it caught me. Okay, but before we move forward, we always like to start off our sessions with the recitation of the offering formula. So I'll hand the mic over to Sonnet Emiket.
All right, Dua. So I will go ahead and do a recitation of the offering formula, and this is what you have on your screen at this moment, and there's 3 sections to it. And the top section, that is the offering formula written in Seshew mdw-ntr, or what is known as hieroglyphic. The middle part is the transliteration, and this is, you can see with diacritic marks, as you see in this part here. And then the bottom part is the translation, which is in English, of course. And I'm going to go ahead and recite it. But before we do that, it can never be said enough. I'll just put this disclaimer that the pronunciation that you're going to hear me say is, it's not historically accurate. It is what is known as classroom pronunciation, or commonly known as Egyptology speak as well. And this is we use that to actually just give us the opportunity to discuss the language instead of pointing at words or spelling out the words. So some people are still under the belief that that there's a claim that it is this is the correct pronunciation, but it's not. And I'm just gonna go ahead and recite that, and feel free to recite along. And this recitation is in the name of the ancestors, which is Aku, as you can see here. And this is the word here, but you can include the name of anybody that you know that has passed along. So I'll just go ahead and recite it. Hotep Dinesu, Wasir Neb Jadu, Netra Neb Abju, DF Beret Heru, T Henket, Ka Aped, Ches Benket, Het Nebet Neferet, Wabet Anket Nechaim, Inkani Imaku, Aku Maakiru. And what he's saying is, an offering the king gives Osiris, Lord of Jadu, great God, Lord of Abydos, so that he may give verbal offerings in beer, bread, ox, fowl, alabaster, and linen, everything good and pure on which a god lives, for the car of the revered ones, the ancestors, justified. And so with that, I will pass the mic back to Uja.
Okay, all right, Dua, excellent. And let me put it back. Take it off. All right. Excellent. Okay, so again, we all like to start off and set the tone with the offering formula. All right, so before we move forward, also want to introduce everyone on the panel, starting with myself. My name is Wujau Mineb Irimaat, and I'll be running point for tonight's Divine Words Wednesdays, and I'll let everyone else introduce themselves. So just pass along the mic and introduce yourself. Let me just introduce son June, brother June. He's with us, but his mic, he won't be able to participate. So he's definitely tuned in. All right, but other than that, I'll just pass the mic. Everyone can introduce themselves.
Hotep, Satep and Ra Mariama. I'm gonna be playing shooting guard tonight, so tune in.
All right.
ETM Hotep, Central Hootie Mod. I'd like to welcome everybody. Hope you have a great show. And I'll be coming off the bench.
Said coming off the bench. Now this is all right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
ETM Hotep, Rennie, Antoine Jermaine Clark, Nene.
Okay, all right. Antoine is in the house.
Right. Okay. Hold up, Reni, Imiket, Aku, and yeah, welcome.
ETL Hotep, Remy, Sean. Thanks for tuning in. We're gonna have a good show tonight, especially with our shooting guard.
All right. Hey, Sean, it sounded like you had the mic in your mouth at first.
Yeah, man. Sorry about that.
It's good. Sounds good.
Yeah, he got that photo mark, Mike.
Yeah, hey, he took the word ro, like imira, within, which means within the mouth. He took it literally. But all right. We have another one, another brother just joined us.
ETM Hotel. This is Damian Everly. Go by Damo. Welcome.
All right. Okay, that's looks like everybody. Yeah. All right. Already introduced June on his behalf. All right. So we're gonna dive in. So today's theme, on Divine Words Wednesdays, we have Freestyle Fridays and Divine Words Wednesdays, and we also have Welcome to the Sabai Dome. We don't do that one too much because Welcome to the Sabai Dome is really where we address claims that are floating around on social media. And, there's a lot of claims that are floating around, but some of them are just not worthwhile enough to kind of take time out to address them because, we try to work on projects and, and prioritize things. But every now and then we will pick up on a claim and address it, especially ones that grow legs and are false or, filled with misinformation or something like that. So that's our third series that we do. But on Divine Words Wednesdays, we try to have a theme and we just discuss it and go in on it. Whereas Freestyle Fridays, we like to have fun and just pick pictures and freestyle in transliterating and translating it. All right. So if you all have been watching our hangouts, then you should be pretty much used to it. Okay. So tonight's theme is royal titularies. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. But before I do, while I share my screen, maybe somebody can give shout outs to those who are already tuned in because I did see some people in the chat. Okay. So not everybody do it at one time.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Emmy. Go ahead, Emmy.
Okay. Yes. I see. Welcome or ETM Tip to Senate Lisa. We have Mark Tip, and we have Judy Back My Art. We have Ursula Walton. We have Christ Withers or Christopher Withers. And who else do we have? I think those are the ones. Black History. I think I already said that. Black History 365. So ETM Tip. I think those are the ones we have so far.
Okay. All right, good. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm just takes a minute to pull up here. All right. Let me share my screen. And by the way, actually we have the call in. I need to set that up. We're running real behind. So, all right. But so you can see the screen well on your YouTube, make sure that while you're watching the video, at the bottom of the actual video window, you click on the cogwheel and change your settings to either 480 or 720. 720 is best. All right, 720 HD. That way you can see what we're showing as clear as possible. All right. Unless you're on dial-up, unless you're still using dial-up, then, scratch that idea. But I don't think anybody is using dial-up anymore. All right, so let me share my screen. Let's see, it's gonna take a minute. All right. So I'm gonna and somebody let me know when it's visible, please. Okay, I see it. All right. So can y'all see it?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So now I'm not sharing it full screen. So hopefully this is good enough because it's easier for me to navigate the slides and keep up with the chat and everything at the same time. So, but if need be, I can switch it to full screen. All right. So tonight's theme is royal titulary. All right. For those who don't know, the word titulary is a word that deals with titles. So basically, we're dealing with the royal titles of the kings in Kemet. All right. And basically, starting with the 5th dynasty, all the kings from the 5th dynasty forward, or forward, I should say, had 5 titles, 5 names, and they were called Ren-wer, which means great names. So pretty much from the 5th dynasty forward. So that's what we're going to discuss. And let me switch over. So these are the 5 names and what they were called. The first and oldest name is called the Heru name. All right. The next one is the Nebti name. And the third is the Golden Heru name. The fourth being the throne name. And the 5th, the family name. All right. Now with the Heru name was contained inside what's called a Sorek. And the word Sorek means to make known. But the Sorek itself is a palace facade. It's like a duplication of a palace. The Nebti name, sometimes you may hear people call it the 2 ladies name because the word itself, Nebti, means 2 ladies. And then we have the 2 ladies would be indicative, would represent Wajet for Lower Kemet and Nekibet of Upper Kemet. And you'll see them with a vulture and a cobra. All right, so that's where you probably more people are familiar with them. The Golden Heru name is a falcon perched on top of a golden necklace. All right, you may see that, and I'm going to show these. The throne name, you have what's called a nomen, usually referred to as the nomen. And then the family name, which is called, sorry, I had that confused. The throne name is usually referred to as the prenomen, and the family name as the nomen. So I'm just giving you some more terms that you may see them being mentioned as. But those are the 5 names. All right, so let's start off with the Heru name, and it's going to show examples of names and how it looked when they were carved. So here is the first one, the Heru name, and this is called a Sorek. So on the left-hand side, and hopefully everyone can see that good. Let me just check on YouTube side. Okay, there's a delay on the YouTube side. All right. And if by chance you can't see it very well and need for me to increase the size, just type into the chat. Let me know. All right. But hopefully this is good enough. And if any of you all on the panel can keep your eye out if anybody says so, because I won't be able to see it. Okay, so on the left-hand side here, you see the Sorek. And you see the falcon perched on top of this rectangle duplication of a Sorek. So at the bottom is the actual palace. And I blew it up on the right-hand side. So this right-hand side here is the blown up portion of this bottom part. And I did this so that everyone could see the details. Now, mind you, this is carved into stone. I believe this is limestone. But look at the details. And this still exists to this very day, just like this. These are recent pictures, as of, I believe, 2012 or 2013, these particular pictures that I'm using, or this one. And so look at the detail for it to last thousands of years, or, thousands of years, for the details to still be intact, not rubbed down or worn off or chipped away. This particular one, you see a little bit of damage, but the detail is still there. So you can actually see the door here, the doorway to the palace, the overheads, the little indents here where flag poles would stand, and so on. And you see up top here, and you can see the top portion here, but you can see the details. But this is particular Heru name is, well, let me ask somebody on the panel, what Heru name is inside of the Sarek itself?
I'm going to this 3-pointer. Unk Misut.
Yep. All right. And it's good. Right. So Unk Misut. All right. So it means living birth. All right.
Hey, but you sure underneath that's not the P symbol for the stool? I mean, it looked like it. Are we sure that's not it?
X-nay. No, it's definitely not the which one? You talking about this door here?
The whole thing up under there.
Oh, the whole thing. No.
Yeah, that whole thing. You sure that ain't
right? No, it's a palace. And actually, speaking of the P glyph, which you brought up, it's Gardner code Q3. And we're definitely going to do a welcome to the Sabaite Dome to address the Q3 glyph, whether it's a doorway to another dimension, a mat stool, or a burial chamber, or just anything that's rectangular that anybody can identify with. All right, so we will address that in the very near future. Okay, but this is what a Sarek looks like. This is one. So this is and they all come in different varieties, but this is a really good one. I
got a quick question.
Okay.
So I heard him break it down. Can you say it for me one more time? The name?
Oh, it's Unk Misut.
All right, so
it means living.
I see the Ankh, I see the Mis, and then the T.
Yes.
All right.
So you have the Ankh here. You have the biliteral here for MS, mess. And then you have the T, if we were going in order, and then the quail chick. Now, it's Unk Mesut. The quail chick coming before the T because of birds. Now, this is something that we always discuss. So this is a good example of this particular issue with birds. And you'll see it with the quail chick, as you see here. You'll also see it with the vulture, the G1 vulture, and you'll also see it with the G17 vulture, the word for mut. And you'll see that T, instead of the T coming after the bird, it will be tucked into the space in front of the bird. Okay, so here's an example of that, pretty big. All right, so it's Unk Misut. Okay, so anyway, that's the Heru name. That's the oldest of all of the 5 king names, because this name actually dates back to pre-dynastic times. All right. Now, moving to the next one, which was Nepti name. Here's an example of the word Nepti. All right. And again, look at the detail. Now, mind you, this is carved into stone. So, and it's raised relief. It's raised up. That means they had to carve away all around it. And you can see the bottom part of a Sarek that's above here. But this particular, here you have the vulture and the cobra. The vulture representing Nekibet, cobra representing Wajet. And they're perched on top of a basket or 2 baskets. And together, and this is where you get Neb. The word Neb means Lord, Master, or owner, or a person who possesses something, ownership. And so 2 of them, and it's feminine, becomes Nepti. So it's 2 lordesses, but we don't say it like that. We just say 2 ladies. So these are the 2 ladies, Nekibet and Wajet, Nepti. All right, so that's an example of how that looks. So again, but it's just should be fascinating to all of us that this detail, this level of detail, 1, that it was done in the first place, and then 2, that it still exists today. All right, you can see the scales. You can see how the cobra has the scales going around. You know, the beak, the claws are still there. You can see the individual claws inside of the vulture. All right, and I hope that that is clear enough on the YouTube side as well. Okay.
Okay, checker pattern in the baskets.
Yeah, and then you have you have the weave patterns, or you know however you know they weave the baskets. All right, you can see it. You can see it crisscrossing each other. Like you can see one coming up and one going under, up and under, up and under. You know. So and that's so like for example, you see how these squares, if you see my cursor, these squares look a little smoother than these, and it gives you the impression of being woven, you know, crisscrossing with each other. So I mean, this artwork is just, you know, as they say, off the chain, but out of sight. So next we have the golden Heru name, which is sometimes called Bik Nebu. The word Bik means falcon, and then Nebu is gold. So we're saying golden falcon. So the golden falcon name. And on this particular, here's a instance of an obelisk, and right here where my cursor is where you see the falcon perched on top of a gold necklace. So this is where you will see Bik Nebu. All right, and on here you can see the Heru name and the Sarek, and you see the Nebti here. So we have the Heru name was within the Sarek, and then the Nebti name, and then the golden falcon, and then the name. All right, so I'm just showing examples of how these look. All right, now this particular style of carving is called, they call it incision or incised carving, and this carving is really good to look at when you want to kind of really look at details of the glyphs for the purposes of contour. Because when the glyphs are carved into the stone, what happened, the scribes creatively showed contour by allowing the stone to come back towards the surface. So like, for example, look at this falcon right here. So you see on the edge, it's carved in deep. So it's deeper on the edge and than it is for the body. So it gives the appearance of contour where a 3D body is kind of rounded a bit. All right. And how you know that they purposely did these things is because you'll see some things are completely flat. Like, for example, look at this word for me here. This upper part is flat. It's incised, but then the inside here is just flat. But then here it has contour. Okay, and this is a milk jug or something, a container that contained milk. All right. So and you can, you know, I'm not gonna go through all of them, but you can see, you will be able to see that, like even this top one, this falcon, it has contour to it. All right. So you all remember that when you're dealing with incised glyphs, when you're looking at it, you can see the edges and then you can see contour, because the scribes are trying to, you know, creatively show you 3D, or, you know, show you some contour, some shape, all right, to how the object that it represents, how it really looks. All right, so let's move on. So that's the golden Heru name. The next name is called the throne name, but it's the throne name is preceded by the word or the phrase Nisut Biti, and a lot of people may be familiar with that. But this is what the phrase looks like. So you have a sedge plant, and just look at the details of it. Look at the details inside the bee. You can see the bee's eye, the antenna, the claws. Now you know, if if a bee like this was to show up at your picnic or something, I'm sure everybody at the park would just run. But this bee has, the claws are still there, or the legs, I should say. You can see the lines, or they call striations, inside of the wing, even to the where you see the edge of the wing with these ovals. And this was purposely done. This is not like a defect. You can see 2 of them here and 2 of them on the other wing. And then look at the stripes, on the back part of the bee. So it was some detail put into this, and it still lasts. So and then above it, you see the word pet. You can see a little bit of the word pet, and you can see the stars inside of that word pet. So there's a lot of detail put into this. And look at the rope. Beneath it, this is the top portion of a Seshew, which people call a cartouche down here. And look at the rope, the lines that are that they carved in here to represent rope, which lets you know that the cartouche was made of rope. It was inspired from a rope. Okay, but that's the Nisud BT name. And it's basically the emblem for Upper and Lower Kemet. So you have the sedge for Upper and the B for Lower Kemet. So Nisud BT, the king of Upper and Lower Kemet. Next, we have the family name, which is called Sa-Ra. It's preceded by the phrase Sa-Ra, which means son of Ra. And so this is how it looks. And again, look at the detail. This one, let me blow this one up. Let me see if I can increase it. Yeah. Just look at that detail. Now, mind you, this is stone. Okay. And you could actually see the small scales in the duck's feet. And look at the feathers, how it swirls this way, and then this set of feathers go in a different direction. From this set of feathers go in a different direction, etc. So, this is amazing, just for it to be done and then for it to last this long. All right. So I don't know. Okay, so that's Sa-Ra. So this phrase precedes the family name, and by family name, it's the name that the person was known by, and the family lineage. And actually, the Sa-Ra name is the name that most of us are familiar with all of the Egyptian kings. So when we say things like Rameses, we say things like Thutmose III, or Hatshepsut, or Amenhotep the first or the third, and etc. All these kings' names that we are familiar with are their Sa-Ra names. And what's interesting is that in ancient times, the people themselves would not have referred to their kings by their Sa-Ra name. That would have been kind of a little disrespectful to do. Instead, they would use the throne name. So the name that's preceded with Nisud BT. And if we were to do that today, we would be lost because we're not familiar with it. Like, for example, Hatshepsut, everyone's familiar with that name, Hatshepsut, but that's her Sa-Ra name. But her throne name was Ma'at Ka-Ra. And if I were to just jump out and say that first, people are like, well, who are you talking about? Who is that? So the reason why we're familiar with these names is because of early Egyptologists. That's what they chose to use throughout all of their works. So this is what people are familiar with. All right. Okay, so those are the 5 names. All right, so let me quickly go through this. Excuse me. So, okay, now what we're looking at here is a royal titulary of a particular king. Now you'll find it in this form pretty much in front of chapels of temples, or in the pylons and so forth of different temples all throughout Kemet. All right, in this particular one, this is inside of a temple, and it's before the doorway, an opening of this particular temple. Okay, so Now, with the royal titulary, the entire titulary, the 5 names, are usually represented on objects like what you're looking at now on the screen. Okay, sometimes they're not. Sometimes you'll see, 2 of the names. And a lot of times you'll see just the 2 names in the so-called cartouche or the Shenhu, the throne name and then the family name. That's what we're used to seeing. But just about equally so, you can find all of the titularies written for particular kings in certain places. It's just that it's not talked about as much as what's in the cartouche, because this stands out. Cartouche kind of stands out. Matter of fact, even on this picture, the 2 cartouches right here on the left and right stand out because they're different color. They're yellow, they're gold inside. But okay, so let's break this down. Now, I posted this in our Facebook group to have members of the group, Facebook group, to have a shot at it and transliterating and translating it. So so this is what we are going to just go over real quick, just to kind of outline the 5 names that we've been discussing. Okay, so this is the actual picture from the tomb, from the temple. So now here's a reproduction of the first row. So if you see here, this is the first row here that you saw in the picture, and from the middle going towards the left is what you see reproduced here, the glyphs that are reproduced. So it makes it very clear and easy for everyone to see. All right. And so anybody on the panel, I don't want to hog the mic and do all the talking, but so on this picture, if anybody on the panel can read the transliteration in terms of Egyptology speak, and then we can start discussing the translation, and we could do it for all of them.
Yeah, we have Ankh Kuru Ka Neket M Ka Was Seneb Ankh Tawi Netcher Nefer Sa Wasir.
Okay, yep, Ikar, excellent. And okay, so let me okay, now just so people can follow with the picture, the Ankh that's in the middle here is over here, and then the falcon is right here, and so on. So we have the bull and the bull, just so everyone know where we are, and it ends up with the Sudan chair, the chair, the eye, etc. All right. So okay, and you read that, but now let's what does it translate? What does it translate as? Did anybody have a translation for that?
Man, I don't know. I might miss this shot. Let's see. The living Haru.
Yep.
The strong bull who appears in Waset. And then that's where I get stuck at right there. Maybe he lives or something, 2 lands. I don't know. I get stuck right there. Grammatically, I get a little stuck when we get there.
Okay. All right. So good. That's good. But
I think I got half of it.
Okay. So anybody else? I think I want.
The living Haru. The living Haru.
Antoine, I believe your mic was crackling.
Yeah.
You may.
Can you hear me? All right, come back in.
Yeah, you might have to leave and come right back in. Yep. But just for those who are watching, I made a correction in the transliteration just now. So instead of Seneb Unk, it's Sa-Unk. All right, so just make note of that for those who are watching, and watching the archive. So that was a correction that's just made. And let me point to it here. So you see Sa'unk here, and you have the folded cloth, Sa'unk. All right.
Okay, makes sense.
Anybody want to take a shot? I'm trying to wait for St. Antoine to come on back.
I think he's here.
Okay, let's see if we can hear you.
All right, testing. Can you hear me now?
Okay, keep talking. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if it's a little bit better. I'm thinking the 11 Haru spirit. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, 11 Haru. Not spirit. 11 Haru. Strong. Of upon power or dominion, health, and life. Great and beautiful nectar with star. Was you able to hear that?
Okay, yeah. You were breaking up a little bit. I don't know what's going on, but you sound a little distorted. But plus, you left out when I mentioned that I made the correction to the transliteration. It's not Seneb Unk, it's Sa'unk. So it's not the word health.
Oh, okay. I see now.
Yeah, that's what was throwing me off because I'm like, hold on, Seneb. That's it's basically saying the strong bull who appears in Waset, who causes the two lands to live, or who lets the two lands live. The great god Usir, something along those lines.
Yes.
Yes, I think. Yeah, and son of Usir. So I think everything else makes sense. Making the Sa'ank to make live the two lands, and then the beautiful nature.
Okay.
Son of Usir.
Yes. All right, good. So let's put it all together. So we have Unk, Heru, Chaneket, Imka, Wasa Unk, Tawi, Netra Nefer Sawasir. So all together it is the living Heru, strong bull, who appears in Waset, who sustains. The word Sa'unk literally means to cause to live, but it's a phrase that simply means to sustain. Like you're taking care of something to allow it to keep continuing. So Sa'unk means to sustain. So to sustain the two lands. And then we have
sorry to interrupt, but I think they were asking on the chat if you could lock it on your screen because I don't think they're able to see it.
all right. Sorry about that. Hopefully everyone can see it.
Yeah, it's locked now. I just look.
All right. So hopefully everyone can see it. All right. So let me back up a little bit just because of that mix up. So again, in the picture, you have the Ankh in the middle, and the Ankh is in the middle of the glyphs that are facing to the right and the glyphs that are facing to the left is symmetrically right there in the middle. So the Ankh is applied to both sides. Right now, we're dealing with the left-hand side of this row, the row 1. All right. So the Ankh in the middle is over here. The falcon is right here, and so on, just so you can follow along. So what we had before, what was on here before was Seneb, was Seneb Ankh, and the Seneb is incorrect. So I changed that and made that correction. And it's Sa'unk. So now, so I was just reading what it was saying. So we put it all together. So we have Ankh, Heru, Chaneket, Imka, Was, and then Sa'unk Tawi, Netra Nefer Sawasir. So we have the living Heru, strong bull, who appears in Waset, and then we have Sa'unk, which means to sustain. And that's where I left off explaining. Sa'unk means cause to live, but it's a word that we would see as sustaining. So who sustains the two lands, and then the good God, son of Wasir, people know as Osiris. All right. So that's what this left-hand side is saying. So let's move on. And I probably have to correct this one too. Let me do that before we even discuss it. All right. So this is the right-hand side. So we have the Ankh in the middle, and so on. So anybody on the panel want to recite this one and then give the meaning of this one? No. All right. Well, I don't know if that's a no. Okay, so I'll do it. All right. So we have, like I said, we have the Ankh here, and it ends over here with the we call the Ak bird. So you see the word Ak, Akut. So all together we have Ankh, Heru, and it looks similar to the other side. So up to a certain point. So we have Ankh, Heru, Khaneket. So we have living Heru, strong bull, Mwaset, who is in Waset. And then we have Sa'unk again, who sustains, and then Tawi again right here, the two lands, and then Necher Nefer, the good God. But now we have something slightly different. We have Ir Akut, which means who makes benefactions. The word Akut means effective, and as a plural, it means to do things that are beneficial to people or whatever. So together, Ir Akut means to make benefactions. All right. And that's what this is all saying. Now, in the picture, it's damaged here a little bit. But you can see how both sides are mirroring each other. What's absent from this side and the other side is you have M and then Ka. You don't have that here. It's not in the picture, so you don't see it here. Like you see over here. Everything else is pretty much the same, and then at the end it changes. So we have Ir Akut, and we have Wasir Sa, or Sa Wasir is how we would grammatically say it. All right, so move on to the row 2. That's row 1, and we're gonna move to row 2. And this is row 2. We have the Ankh in the middle again. Ankh is over here on the right, and it ends with the reed leaf, 2 reed leaves, and 2 reed leaves right here. So anybody on the panel want to tackle this one?
Musibiti Neb, Tawi, Min, Maat, Ra, Mary, Haru.
To you.
America, Haru.
Heru. Okay, excellent. So what is it? Anybody want to translate? Give a translation?
The living Nitsubiti, Lord of Two Lands, Mimiat Ra, beloved Haru.
To you. Excellent. Iker. All right. Yep. And I noticed, and this is the thing. I noticed with all of us, and it probably happens to a lot of other people, when you're dealing with this, so much that we tend to mix an untranslated pronunciation with the translation, all, even when we're trying to read it. Because you said the living Nisubiti instead of saying the living king of Upper and Lower Kemet. You know what I mean? And then you said Lord of the Two Lands, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, we get so used to it that we like Ankh Nisubiti and then Lord of the Two Lands. We'll mix it up like that, and that's actually a good sign. Because
I don't even know what to call him besides Nisubiti.
Well, it's the king of Upper and Lower Kemet.
Okay. I feel funny saying king or pharaoh now.
Oh well, king and pharaoh, they're fine. See, that's the thing about words. See, we shouldn't become wordophobics, okay? Because words are just containers for semantic meaning. So the container can stay the same. It's what you fill it up with. So if, like, I remember people talk about the word queen, how it means whore and all this, but they don't understand there's another word, queen, that had a different origin, but they look alike, sound alike, or whatever the case is. And so people don't want to use queen. Oh, stop calling me queen or this and that. You know, we don't need to be have these phobias of words, as long as we understand the meaning. You know, we understand the meaning. King of Upper and Lower Kemet. This is the they say what, HNIG or HNIC, as they say on the street, the head dude in charge. That's, I mean, as long as we understand what it means. So it's the living the living king, you know, living king of Upper and Lower Kemet.
Should we be translating the name too inside the Shenhu? Should we be doing that as well?
Oh, we can.
Because, you know, if we mix and match, and we shouldn't be saying "man, my outright," we should translate that as well.
Well, that was my point. I was getting ready to say that we do it all the time with names anyway. So I was saying that that's a good sign, because it lets you know that you're digesting more of the language, to where even in your mind you're not translating anymore. You don't need that middleman anymore of a transliteration. You just understand what it means just by looking at it now. So the more and more you do this, we'll just be saying unk. Like my mind, I don't have to say unk and then a split second later in my mind I have to say life. You know, the word unk itself has become life in my mind now. So through repetition and practice, that's how all of this is gonna happen. And that's just basic. That's not just with Egyptian or Seshew mdw-ntr. That's with any language that you learn, any second language that you learn. Your mind is going to process that slow. You're going to do what's called a word substitution, but then you do it so much, the substitution will just come to a stop, and it'll be instant. It'll just be what it is, you know. So anyway, that's. But I was saying that to say that that's a good sign for people to do that. So, but anyway, that was correct. So what it is the living. Yeah, I mean, you already gave the meaning. So we're gonna go to the next one. All right, and finally, this is the right hand side of the picture. And while we read this, the transliteration, hopefully someone in the chat, if you want to translate this into English. All right, so while we read the transliteration, someone in chat translate it into English, and then we'll read it. Okay, so does anybody want to handle this one? Read the transliteration.
Sean.
Yeah, sure. Of course, it's a horizontal left to right. So I'm gonna try to give it a stab. Nusit Bidi, Sahra, Seti, Marni Pata, Marie, Aset.
Okay, excellent. Iker. Excellent. I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking to see if anybody wants to translate that.
Yeah, we have a little delay today, so we'll give him some time.
It's a slight delay. Okay, well, while that delay is there, let me clarify something. Let me go back. Okay, at the end of this line right here, you heard us say Meri Heru, which means beloved of Heru. But if you notice how it's written, you have Heru first, Heru, and then Mary. And a lot of times, you know, people may wonder, well, why did you say it the other way around? And the reason why is what's called honorific transposition. Even within the cartouche or the Shenhu of the name of this king, we have honorific transposition going on. We have Min Ma'at Ra. But you notice how I'm skipping. I'm going min, ma'at, then I'm going back to the front. Ra. So this is honorific transposition going on here. Same thing. And then what we, well, I don't want to give that away. So let me check up in the chat. Okay, we have brother Aziz. He says, Life Nisudbiti, son of Ra. Okay, so he did the first part. Let's see if anybody else can do the rest. I know there's a delay. There's a slight delay. All right. Well, I don't want to, I don't want to drag this out too long. So, okay. Anybody on the panel just want to go ahead and knock this one out?
Yeah, I'll knock it out real quick. Let's see. The living king, son of Ra, Seti, beloved of the creator Ptah, or beloved of Ptah, or beloved of the creator. Beloved of Aset.
Okay, to you. Excellent. All right. So there you have it. Now it's damaged over here. But if you can see the name Ptah right here. You can see the seat of deity here. You can see the teat, what's called the teat sign, which they say is the knot of Aset, is another nickname, how they identify it. And then what's damaged is you can see the hoe here right on the end. You can see the hoe here and you can see the hoe right there. But now because it's damaged, it's like, well, how do you know that's what it says? And in this particular instance, it comes with being familiar with this particular king, and elsewhere where it's not damaged, you can see it in this actual temple. You'll see his name everywhere. And then you'll know that his throne name, which is Nisudbiti, as I mentioned earlier, is Min Ma'at Ra. And, you know, you can figure out, okay, who is Min Ma'at Ra? And now you know his family name, Sarah name, is Ptah Merni, it'd be Seti Merni Ptah. So this is none other than the king Seti the first. Okay, this is the father of the more famous king, Rameses II. Like everybody knows Rameses. I think out of all the kings, I think the most popular or most known king would be Tutankhamun and Rameses II. But now there were several Ramses, so a lot of people would just say Ramses and not really know that they're talking about Rameses II. But that's who they're talking about, Rameses II, where he had those colossal statues and everything. All right. But Seti the first, in this particular temple in Abydos, there are some beautifully preserved glyphs and burial chambers, chapels, hypostyle halls, everything. You know, it's well preserved. Not as preserved as Behudet, which people know as Temple of Edfu. But that's a more recent, that's a later temple in the first place. This one goes back to the 19th dynasty. All right, so that's King Seti. So this is an example of let's see, how many names did we have? Let me go back. So now, even though you don't see a Sorek, this is the Heru name of Seti. So you have Ka Nekit Imka, and then you have Waset Sa'ank, Tawi, etc. But you can see that this is part of his Heru name. All right, now we don't see the Nebti name for, or we don't see the, Nebti itself. But this is part of his Heru name from Heru. Now, normally, if there was a Sarek present, the Heru would be perched on top of it, so it'd be Heru. So inside the Sarek, you would see all of this. You would see the bull, the arm with the object in hand, from here all the way over to Tawi, which is really the lily and the papyrus plant, representing Tawi, the two lands. So from here all the way up to the bull would be his name, would be within inside of a Sarek. So it'd be Khaneket Imcha Wasa Ankh Tawi, all of that. And then Necher Nefer will be an added epithet, Sawasir. Okay, so that's there. And then, okay, likewise. Okay, and then here we have the throne name, and on here we have the family name. So the only two, we're missing two. We're missing the Nebti, and we're missing the golden falcon name, the golden Heru name. All right. So I just wanted to show this to kind of discuss royal titularies. Okay. And I got some other pictures to share, but I want to pause right here for a second before I show these other pictures. If anybody else on the panel have any comments, or did any questions pop up inside of the chat? No?
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
My question was about the petite. I know, like certain emblems or medallions we may see, we automatically recognize, like the Ankh or the Waset, things like that. Real quickly, with the petite, what does that translate or mean?
It represents the T, the like TI or TY. So it serves as a phonograph inside this particular word. So you have the T, and then sometimes it's used just for a T, just for a T by itself. So altogether you have Seti. So you have the two reed leaves representing the Y and then the T. So we have Set and then T.
I mean, like we see it standalone, like on like a glass or a vase.
Yeah. Then if you find it alone on a vase and stuff like that, then it's most likely used as a logograph for a word for whatever it is. So these were emblems. So you have certain emblems that were used as amulets that were used that had certain other significant meanings in the culture. So you have the Sa emblem, which represented protection. The Tit, and I forget off the top of my head what it actually represented as an emblem, but it's associated with Aset, and everything that governs. What else you have that you'll see by itself? Those are two things that you'll see
like the Ankh,
a lot.
by itself.
Yeah, you'll see the Ankh.
You'll
see the Jed. You'll see the Jed.
Well,
I'm talking about as far as like made emblems. So you have the Jed. You'll see the Ankh. You'll see the Sa, and you'll see the Tit that we see up here on the screen.
Yeah, I think
you'll see You're breaking up.
I'm thinking like, can you hear me? I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think like the Seshew plant, like sometimes like with that Semitawi symbol, where we see the Seshew plant. I seen that, and also on the vase in Let the Ancestors Speak, inside that book, you'll see a pottery that has that Seshew plant repeating like that, like on the Semitawi with the two with horse and
yeah.
Facing each other.
Yeah, exactly. You will see that, but that's in a different category, because you have some things that were amulets, and then you have some things that are just saying something. So when you see the Semitawi, it's actually telling you about unification, the unification. But when you see the Sa symbol by itself, it's talking about protection. You see the Jed symbol by itself is talking about stability, you know. So these become messages for whatever the emblem or the amulet represents. Ankh is, you know, telling you dealing with something with life and things. So that's the difference. So you see a lot of those on pottery and different objects, especially burial objects and things.
And then they wrapped a lot of the mummies up with them amulets like that too.
Yes, exactly. And another one that I didn't mention, that's because you mentioned wrapped up in the mummies, is scarabs. You'll see scarabs that are wrapped with not scarabs, the actual animal or insect scarab, but carved scarabs that have writing on it. It has Seshew actually written on the scarab itself as well. All right, so okay, so let me just share a couple of these other pictures. Now we've been discussing Seti the First, okay, and I mentioned that Seti the First is the father of Rameses II. All right, so now let's move on to Rameses II. I'm just going to share a couple of pictures, not go into a lot of detail, but here is a royal titulary for Rameses II. Let me see if I can make this bigger for everyone. Yeah, that should be bigger. And I know there's a delay on Facebook. I mean, on YouTube. All right, so let's just quickly, now we don't have it transliterated or spelled out or anything like that, but let's quickly just look at this and see what we can identify and everything. Does anybody want to quickly just look at the name? Actually, okay, I mentioned Ramses, but how do we know that this is Ramses? By looking at this, what name do we see?
You see inside of the Shanu, you can see Usur Ma'at Ra, Setep and Ra.
All right, so that's for your namesake right there. Setep and Ra, Mary Amen. All right. So so we see Usur Ma'at Ra, and then Setep in Ra or Setep Ni Ra. All right, so that's good. But now just let me ask a question. And if there wasn't such a big delay in the from the chat, I want someone in the chat to answer this. Which of the 5 names is this name? Is it the Heru name? Is it the Nebti name? Is it the Golden Heru name? Is it the throne name? Or is it the family name? So someone in the chat, if you could type that in there. And I know it's a delay, so I'll wait a while.
The every NF Ma mean FNT I mean Ra.
Angelo, what you were answering the question, or you were reading?
I think he was reading. He kept reading along.
Yeah. The rest of it.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So yeah, I'm just trying to. Oh, family name. All right. Somebody answered and said family name.
I think Lisa got it. She said throne name.
Okay, right. Let's just read the answer. So Lisa said throne name. Ursula said family name. Aziz said royal name. Or he's asking the question, royal name. And then Kofi Khesi Akut said, I'm going with throne. And the answer is throne name. All right. So, I mean, it takes some time to memorize this, but I'm just going to go back up and show you. Remember, whenever you see a name preceded with Nisud Biti, it's talking about the throne name. All right. And so looking back at our picture, this cartouche or Shennu is preceded by the Nisut Biti. So you have Nisut Biti, and then Wisr Ma'at Ra Setepen Ra. So this is the throne name. Now, this is the name that people would have known and kind of addressed him as back in ancient times, not Rameses. So that's why I said that. I said, how do we even know this is Ramses? Because Ramses is not on here. You don't see Ramses, the name Ramses, on here at all. But Ramses would have been his family, is his family name. So it's the same person. But we're going to see it in the next picture. All right, so let's go forward. But I want to identify a couple of other things on this picture too. So here we have over here on towards the right, we have a falcon on top of a gold necklace. So what name? I mean, somebody on the panel can answer this one. What name does that represent?
Golden Heru.
Yep, to you. The Golden Heru name. So now we know we're dealing with a Golden Heru name and a throne name. The throne name is easily identifiable because it's within a cartouche or Shennu. The Golden Heru name, it starts off with the golden falcon, which is the falcon on gold, and we know what comes after that is the name. So what is this particular name?
This one, I know it's Wooser, but I know them little three things right there. I know that means years, but I don't know I don't know the transliteration on it. I know it means years though.
Okay, yeah.
And then you have and I think that's neck or nekek or something like that.
Okay.
Or hold on, wait a minute. Let me see. Neket, ooh, I guess. Neket, ooh, maybe. This one a little rough right here.
All right. No, yeah, that's good. That's good. So you have Bik Nebu, which is golden falcon, Wusser, which is a word meaning powerful, and then there's three of those palm branches, which represents the words. You're right. It represents years as the word for renepets, but it's plural, so it's reneput. So we have Wusser, reneput, and then we have the column for the word ah, and then we have what'd you say last?
So I think it's Neket, and then I see the ooh at the end, so Neket ooh or Neket. I don't know how to say it, but I know I'm on the right path.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's good. It's Nekut. So we have
I feel like Kofi.
yeah, Nekut. All right, so good. So now, so I just wanted to point this out that we have the golden falcon name and then the throne name. All right, so the golden falcon name is Wusser Reneput A Nekut. And what that means is that it means powerful of years, and then great of, and then Nekut is a word for to be victorious. So it means victories. So great of victories, powerful in years, great of victories. All right, so that's like a real lofty title, boy. You got the golden falcon, powerful of years, great of victories, the king of Upper and Lower Egypt, Wusser Ma'at Ra Setepen Ra, you know, powerful is the justice of Ra, chosen of Ra, etc. You know, just imagine if we even if we would introduce him in English, he's still like, you know, you could just imagine him walking in and somebody just have to announce him, you know, all rise, everybody just get up and salute, boy. And this king just comes in the room decked out, fully decked out. And if somebody has to announce all five names, I mean, that had to have been a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sight to see and to even just hear it,
And being the king, that had to be a hell of a feeling hearing all that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it. I'm sure they got used to that. But But anyway, so
is that a Senu within a Senu?
say that where you see that. Oh, this long. You talking about the whole thing?
Two.
No, this is just a dividing line, like how matter of fact, you can see it here. See how it's just a long line just to separate the rows and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what you're looking at. But this is actually the base. This is actually the base, the stone base of a statue. You can see the statue a little bit that's sitting up there on top of it. So I'm sure that the other names probably wrapped around. Probably the Sarah name on wrapped around on the other side. But okay, so so that's two names there. So I'm just want to establish what we're looking at. All right, so let's take a look another example. Now this one's smaller, so let me see if I could what I want to zoom in on. Okay, we're zooming in on the names. So let me bring that up. And see if I can make it bigger for y'all. I don't want it too blurry, so I'll just bring it up that way. So over here to the far right is what we're going to focus on. So we have some names inside of Shenhu. Now the Shenhu is easy to identify, so we know we're dealing with names. But let's try to identify what these names are. Satep, I'm gonna pass you the ball.
Okay, which one you trying to do?
Let's do this top one right here.
All right, man. I can't see that. Like where it's right. You know where it's right in between the two deities. I can't make out what that is.
Okay, it's okay. Look down here. Can you see? Can you tell?
Oh, okay. So we got Usur Ma'at Ra, Setep and Ra.
Yep. All right. So so there you go. And then this right here. Anybody familiar?
Sa-Ra.
Yep. So now this is an interesting.
I ain't never seen it like that though. That's crazy. I ain't never seen it like that.
Okay, I was just going to say this is interesting because these two lines are saying the exact same thing from this
two lands.
Yes, this is
Two
Lord.
different crowns.
Yeah, Lord of the Two Lands, and then we have Nisudbiti right here.
That's tight. That's tight.
But
two crowns.
Right, we have the crown of Upper Kemet, which is the hedge, which is the white crown, and we have the Desher crown or the red crown of Lower Kemet. So this represents Nisut Biti, or the king of Upper and Lower Kemet. And over here we see Nisut Biti, the conventional way that we're used to. Over here we have Sa-Ra for the Sa-Ra name, but right here we have Sa-Ra. We have the egg, which is the word Sa, means sun. And then we have Ra as a seated deity with the sun disk above the head. So it's a seated falcon deity with the sun disk above the head. So we have Sa-Ra. And this same Ra is inside the cartouche or Shenhu here. So this is where we see Rameses or Ramesu. Ramesu. Mirdi Amen. Mirdi Amen. All right. And then we have Amen Ra. And I'm sure right after here it's outside of the picture. I'm sure over here we have Mirdi. So Amen Ra, and then probably it's Mirdi because it's Mirdi Amen, Amen, and then Amen Ra. But yeah, I just wanted to show that because it's interesting, and then we're getting used to the names. So here we have the throne name, which is Usur Ma'at Ra, Setep Ra, and then Sa-Ra, Ramesu Mirdi Amen. All right.
That is really nice, and just to, go off topic a little bit with the decipherment and all of that, you can just see how beautiful it is, and how they really want you to know the different ways that the glyphs function, and it's just consistent all over. So,
yeah, that's
nothing secret about it.
Right, that's a good point. It's showing you that, hey, this is a variety of, this is a a variation way of writing this king's name. They're showing you right here. So Sa-Ra with the pin-tailed duck and the sun, or with the egg and the seated deity. So that's a good example. All right, so now let's move on. Last one dealing with Rameses. Now here are all of his names. It should be. I don't want to speak beforehand. Now, if the top one is harder to see, it's reproduced down here at the bottom. So here we have what I mentioned at first, the falcon above or perched on top of the sarek, and the sarek is the palace facade at the bottom. And within this rectangle, we have the name. So we have the Heru name of Rameses. Now, how we know this is Rameses, we can look at the Sa-Ra name, and we can see here. All right, so we know that this is Rameses. Now, this is mirroring each other. So it's the only difference here, we have the same name for the Sa-Ra name, same name for the Sa-Ra name, same name for the throne name, same thing for the throne name, same thing for the Heru name, same thing for the Heru name. The only difference now is we have the Nebti, they separated it. The Nebti name is separated. So this is really, really good style and creativity. So instead of Nebti and having the vulture and the cobra together and having a name, because notice the name is the same below it, but the actual Nebti has been separated to create this symmetry here. So we have the vulture on the right and the cobra on the left. So Wajet and Nekibet. But it's the same name. All right, so hopefully everyone can see that. And so let's move on. So now, where do we find a lot of the titularies? So like I mentioned earlier, you'll find them inside of openings to chapels, to temples, and pylons and stuff like that. And you'll also find it on the top portion of what's called the hypostyle halls of these temples. Okay, this particular one is from such a overhead large piece of stone. As you can see that this column right here is supporting it. You see the stone split and the column is supporting it. But you can see the cartouche or the Seshew right here. And even under it, you see real big the Sa-Ra right here. And then you see the name Rameses. The doorbell.
Now, that's a different Rameses right there.
Right, because it has.
Yeah, I see Men Petty Rob at the top. That one you just pointed out.
Mm-hmm. So
this would be another one, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why I'm showing this one is just to show, where these things are located. In the hypostyle halls of these temples, you'll see a whole lot of these different titularies. So you got all 5 names just strung out all across the top portion. So to the left and right, you can see the end of another cartouche right here. So you can see, you can imagine how long this name, all 5 names, is going to extend way down. All right, but this is only a crop picture. All right, so now let's go to, let me skip that one for a second. All right, let me show this one. Okay, now what's shown here underneath is which of the 5 names? Just by looking at this where my cursor is, which of the 5 names are we dealing with?
Is that for the panel or the chat?
Well, let me see. Is the chat kind of caught up, or is still a delay on there? It's probably a delay.
The picture's showing up in the chat.
Okay, good. It is. All right. Well, like I said, I don't want to take too long to kind of wait up, because a matter of fact, I'm gonna set the number up. People can call in, but let me just get through these pictures. So let me just say,
name.
yes, throne name, exactly. Tiu Ikar, excellent. So we have Nisud BT, and then we have Neb Tawi. So this will be the throne name. But now, what I want to show though is that this particular picture that you're looking at is the picture that caused a lot of controversy about some spacecrafts or flying crafts inside the glyphs in Kemet. All right, these are the very glyphs that people are talking about. This is just a snapshot from standing on the ground, stooping down with an angle, looking up. So this is the under part. This is underneath of the overhead that's hanging above these columns, that's being supported by these columns. So on the surface of this is where those controversial glyphs are, which are right here. Now you can't see it that well in this picture, but I'm gonna show you a better picture of it. Now, mind you, I did an entire article about these glyphs, explaining how they're not flying crafts and everything. So I don't want to revisit the whole article, but I'm just want to show more pictures of it to let you all know, to reinforce, so you can tell people past the word, your understanding of how they're not flying crafts or anything like that, and you can tell them what they actually are. Okay, so now I know you can't see it, but let me go to another picture. Now, this is a hypostyle hall. Now notice that you see column right here, and this is in the dark, so there's no sunlight hitting it, so you can't see it where my cursor is. But this has a titulary written all across it as well. And you see underneath, you can see the gold part of the cartouche right there a little bit, and back in the back is dark. So it'd be another one back there. So here you have titulary written all across here, one written all across here, one written across here, underneath, etc., etc. So this is where you see a whole bunch of them. All right. And so now, in this particular angle, if you were standing right here, squatting down, snapping this shot, and you were to turn around, all you can do is just turn around and look at the one behind you. This is what it looks like. This is a picture of the same spot, but the opposite overhead thing, hanging of the stone. So you can see that it's being held up by the columns, etc. And underneath of it, you see Nisud BT and Neb Tawi and the name right here. But all along here is a royal titulary. So on this one, you also see defective, or what they would consider defective glyphs. But no one talks about this one. No one talks about this. And if I go back, everybody focuses on these glyphs right here and say, hey, those are flying crafts and stuff like that. Nobody talks about this side. This is right next to it. All of this right here. But I'm going to show you some close-ups. So come on, we're going to go down. And here it is right here. Here it is when the sun is out lit. This is the other side. I'm going to try my best to explain this. Right here, where my cursor is the bottom portion of, like, if you were to turn around and look at what's on the surface of this one, it would be those controversial flying craft glyphs. So this is the opposite side. Okay, and you can see right here that this is a royal titulary. Now you see the Nisut BT right here. You see Neb Tawi, and then you see a cartouche. Now within this cartouche, you see two names overlapping one another. All right. Now you can't see it that good in this picture, and I'm going to zoom. I'm going to come to a better picture, but I just want to show you, give you a broader look of how this looks and how no one talks about this. All right. And here's a better shot of the same shot, but I'm showing all three. Look at the royal names all along here, and here. This was in the sunlight. You can see this one better, but you can still see it extending, going all the way down the hall. Now let's get to this particular glyph, these glyphs here. All right, so now this is a clear picture. All right, I'm sure, hopefully everyone can see that on YouTube. Actually, I gotta wait, it's a delay. Gotta catch up. All right, but these are the controversial glyphs. This is what everyone focuses on. And people will try to say that they are hovering crafts, Apache helicopter, the little hovercraft that was in the Star Wars movie, space shuttle, you know, the George Jetson little dome, a single pilot dome craft in the cartoon George Jetsons or the Jetsons and stuff. None of that's true. All right. And we can't use the it looks like, you know, the look-alike method. We call it lookership. When people use that as their final conclusions. All right, so what is going on now? Like I said, there's a whole article on it, so I'm not going to repeat the whole article, go into details. But based on tonight's theme, where we were going through all of the 5 names of particular kings and showing examples of it, now you're more equipped to really see what this really is. Okay, so now the first thing that that sticks out to you on these glyphs is the Shenhu, or should be the Shenhu. All right, that's the cartouche or the Shenhu. Now we know that within the Shenhu there are 2 names that go within the Shenhu: the throne name or the family name. This particular one is what? Somebody on the panel can let me know.
Throne name, yep.
Yep, it's the throne name. Why? Because it's preceded by Nisud Biti. So clear as day, we have Nisud Biti, Neb Tawi, king of Upper and Lower Kemet, lord of the 2 lands. Now, who are we talking about?
Sir Ma'at Ra, Setep and Ra.
Okay, now, but
go ahead.
Well, first of all, we see 2 people's names carved in here overlapping each other. So obviously something went on where one king is replacing his name over top of a previous king. They're overlapping each other. One was carved before the other, obviously, and now we can see both of them. So Damo, you said one of them, which is who we went over, Rameses II, which is Wasser, Ma'at, Ra, Setep, Ni, or In, Ra. Let's go back. Where was it?
Was that Min Mara?
Yes, that's the second one. So we have Min. Let me go right here. See this board here? We have Min, Ma'at, and then Ra. And here it is clear. I mean, undefected. We have Min, Ma'at, and then Ra. So now let's look at our picture. We have Min, then we have Ma'at right here, and then Ra. These are the bigger glyphs. So we got the big circle for the sun, Ra, the big game board here for Min, and then we have Ma'at seated, kneeling down or squatting. So Min, Ma'at, Ra. That is Pharaoh or King Seti the first throne name, Min, Ma'at, Ra. Then on top of it, his son, Rameses II, carves his name. But obviously prior to him carving it, they filled it in with plaster. And then they carved his name. So when Rameses II actually commissioned this to be done, you no longer saw Min, Ma'at, Ra. That was filled in with some plaster. So they recarved Wisser, Ma'at, Ra, Setep, and Ra. And at that particular time, that's all you saw. So it looked neat until the plaster ended up falling and breaking away over time. This is over thousands of years old. Now I'm bringing this up. I want to like make a little side note. I'm bringing this particular glyph up, and the theme of tonight, Divine Words Wednesday, as the royal titularies, is because I had a recent conversation with Unk, the brother Uncle Keck, the real black atheist. And by the way, I'm Amara Squad up. And I had a conversation with him and his uncle. And we were on the phone, and his uncle was trying to explain to his uncle about these glyphs, because he was under the impression, you know, that they are flying crafts. He didn't say spacecrafts, but he said flying crafts and everything. So Unc calls me on the phone to kind of go over it with him. You know, it's so much you can do over the phone. You can't show pictures over the phone and everything. So I was explaining it. So that's what kind of motivated me to want to cover this for tonight again. So, but I have a different approach with going over the titulary first, so that people can understand the concept of the 5 names, how they're written, what they look like, etc. Now, when you come to this particular glyph, that people who don't know about that, now you can appreciate it. Now you can really appreciate it for what it is, and you can rule out and say, oh man, these are not flying crafts. These are just 2 different kings, 2 titularies of 2 different kings overlapping one another. All right. So here we have it. Min Ma'at Ra and Wasir Ma'at Ra Satep Ra.
Yeah, I just wanted to add real quick that we have that we can see that name, the throne name, I think on one of the pillars on the right side.
Yes, right here.
Yep.
That's real good. So now look at this. So you can see the Wasir Ma'at Ra Satep and then Ra. So we have a circle. Look how we had the circle. Circle. The big circle here. So this circle was left. This circle was added. How do we know it's added? Because it's covering Ma'at. It's covering, it's breaking up and messing up the previous carved Ma'at right here. And then you can see where the Wasir symbol was carved in after it. Because you have the min, or the game board, that was here first. And then you had the carve in this Ma'at. So we already had Ma'at here, but obviously this was covered in or filled in, and they carved a new Ma'at right here. So this Ma'at and this Ma'at is the same. You know, they look the same. You can see the shoe feather above the as a headdress and everything. But you can see it here. Wasir Ma'at Ra Satep Ra. And Wasir Ma'at Ra Satep Ra. Okay, so anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I hope that's clear to everyone.
See the 2 ladies?
Where you see that? Oh yeah, over here. Yeah, you see the 2 baskets right here, and you see the cobra and the vulture. Now this is chipped away and broke.
To the right of that.
Yeah, you can see it over here, but even right here, you can see the 2 ladies here. So obviously these 2 ladies was going to Seti the First. His royal titulary was extended all the way across this thing. So remember, in this particular picture, in this particular case, the bigger glyphs were the ones that were originally carved there. That was for Seti the First. That's the father. Ramses the Second, they filled whatever they needed to fill in, and then they recarved the titulary for Ramses. Okay, so over here, they had to put the Nebti name over here instead of leaving it right here. All right. So now, what's on the other side? What's to the right of this? Because obviously we can see this is beginning the Sarah name. So this is the throne name, and then to the left is the Sarah name. And let me back up. Let's see. Here's a more complete picture. So you see the throne name, and then the Sarah name is over here. So it gets dark. So I just wanted to let you all know. But now look at all this over here to the right. So let's see what that looks like. Because in this angle, you can't see it that well. But I have a better picture. So let's look. Now, mind you, see this big crack, this big break right here? And you see the Nebti, the baskets right here. Now I'm going to switch to the other side. So here's that big crack, and here's the Nebti. So now we're looking fully at the whole right-hand side of that. And no one talks about this. No one brings this up when they want to talk about these so-called flying craft glyphs. All right. But here you can clearly see that there are glyphs overlapping other glyphs. All right. And the technical term for this is called a palimpsest, where you write something down and you try to erase it or cover it, and you rewrite and use the same material to write something new. And that's what happened. All right. So the scribes in Ramses' time covered up whatever they had to cover up in Seti, the first titles, and then they recarved the new titles for Ramses. But certain ones they could leave alone. Like, look at the Ankh, that's left alone. Why? Because that exists in both of their names, Ankh Heru. So now let's break down what we looked at for Seti the first. And remember, in our picture, we had Ankh Heru, Ka Nekhet Im Ka, and then we have Was Sa-Ankh, etc., etc. We had the lily, and then we have the sedge. I mean the papyrus plant. Okay, both of them together representing the word Tawi. So remember this, and remember how it looks right here. Okay, so now let's go back to this picture. You have the Ankh, the falcon, then we have the sun, then we have the bull, we have the arm with the object in the hand, then we have the owl, we have the Ka symbol. Now look what's on top of the owl. We have Ma'at just stuck right there. So obviously this came second. This was done for the purposes of Ramses. Okay, but let's just keep going. The owl is here for Seti the first, the Ka sign, then the Was right here. Then we have the folded cloth right here. If y'all can follow what I'm saying, what I'm showing, the folded cloth right here. Then we have the this sign right here would be the lily. Then we have the Ankh. Then we have the papyrus plant. And then we have Nebti, the vulture, and then the cobra, and et cetera, et cetera. So we can clearly see that this is the name or the titulary of Seti the first. Then let's go back again and look at what was put on top of it. So now if you can imagine this, what I was just saying, we have the Ankh, the falcon, the sun disk, the bull, the arm, the owl, the horizon sign, which is for the Ka, the Was scepter, the folded cloth, then we have the lily, then the Ankh, and then the papyrus plant. Now that's a different arrangement than what we have right here. We have the Was, the folded cloth. Now in the one I just now left, the other slide I just showed, after the folded cloth, you had the lily, then the Ankh, and then the sedge plant. On this one, you have the Ankh and then both lilies side by side. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out, that it's just a slightly different arrangement, and that's what they typically did there. But it's saying the same thing because it's matter of fact, I'll show a picture where you actually see that an unaltered picture of that. But let's just go back real quick. And so that will be Seti the first name. So now we can go back and look at the Heru name of Ramses now and make that out. So this will repeat itself. The Ankh, we have the falcon, we have the sun disk, we have the bull and the arm. But now, what will we have here? What will be there for Seti? For Ramses' name?
You got Ma'at.
Now it looks like Ma'at, but if you notice, if we go over here, let me go back to this one here. Oh yeah. So look at the Sarek or the Heru name of Ramses. We have Heru, the bull, the arm, and then we have a seated Ma'at and then the Ho, Merdi Ma'at. So now let's look back at the picture. We have the Ankh, the falcon, the sun disk, the bull, the arm, seated Ma'at, and then the Ho. See that? So this alone should let people know that what we're dealing with is two kings that whose names are overlapping. So now anybody who wants to deal with this particular picture, now you know what you're really dealing with. All right. Now, like I said, the specifics on these particular glyphs I already covered it in an article on the website, mdw-ntr.com. All right. So if you want to know exactly what all of this is saying and breaking down the glyphs, basically this is a bow and these are 9 single strokes. And so we have the bow, the raised bread loaf, and 9 single strokes that spells the word Pasejet, which are the 9 bows, which are known throughout Kemet in different eras of time as the enemies of Kemet. All right, and if you look up the actual titulary of Seti the first, you will know, you'll be able to see which name that would be. And for Seti in particular, notice right what's preceding it is the 2 ladies, Nebti. So it will be his Nebti name. So if you know what Seti's Nebti name, you'll know why Pasejet is right here. And his Nebti name, I'll just say it because I don't have a picture of it, but I'll just say it. It's Nebti, and then you have Wehem Mesut. And so you have Nebti, and then you have Wehem, which is a bovine or a cattle's leg. Wehem, and then Mesut. You have the symbol for Mes right here, and then it's broken off, but it would be Mesut. And you will have this symbol for Mes, and then the quail chick will be right here. You can see the tail of the quail chick right here. Then you have the raised bread loaf. The bread loaf will be somewhere in there to give you Mesut. And then after that, you would have a scepter, which is what this is, right after the quail chick, which is a Sechem scepter. Okay. And then you'll have now a lot of this is broken up, but you'll have the Kapesh sign. And then you'll have the hand. And then what's with the hand, you'll have the open mouth. And this is explained on the website. You have the hand, the open mouth for the word der. And then you'll have the arm with the object in it. So the big hand, the mouth, right now it looks like a space shuttle, but this will be a mouth. Cause like I said, there's an actual basket with a handle that's inside this, this glyph as well. But there's the mouth. And then you have the arm with the hand that is spelling the word der. And then you have Pasejet. And the word der would be to repel. It means to repel. So to repel, and who? Repel the enemies of Kemet. And the enemies were always known as the 9 bows. All right, Pasejet. And the word Pasej means 9. All right. So like I said, I don't want to go, I don't want to repeat a lot of what's in the article already, but I suggest that you read it to go over it. But hopefully this was a little bit more enlightening to those who are watching this and hanging out with us tonight, because instead of just pulling this up and talking about these glyphs and trying to explain it, where people are like, but yeah, it still looks like a Apache helicopter and all that stuff. No. Once you know what these are, the 9 names, I'm saying 9 names, the 5 names and how they're written and so on and so forth, and how we went through them. Now you're equipped with the information on what you're really looking at. Okay, so hopefully that's clear to everybody. And that's all the pictures I had to share for tonight. So hopefully everyone will look at this now. When you see it pop up on Facebook, you're like, nope, those are not flying crafts. Those are the royal titulary for King Rameses II and his father, King Seti I. They're just overlapping each other, and the technical word for it is called a palimpsest. It's called a palimpsest. They're not crafts. Now they look like it, I mean, but anything could look like anything. You could look up in the sky in the clouds, and one day a cloud could look like an elephant because of the shape. So yeah, I mean, it looks like whatever we think it looks like, but that's not what it is, and that's not what it says. So these are not decorations, and I want to make sure that point is made very clear. These glyphs are not just decorations and artwork. These glyphs are graphemes used to write a language. So this is telling you something. This is not some random pretty glyphs that they just want to make some spacecrafts or flying crafts out of it. No, these are characters or graphs or pictographs specifically used in a writing system to spell out and communicate and everything within the language. So this is spelling out the name of King Seti I and King Rameses II all together. All right, so hopefully that's clear to everybody. But so, with that, I will, I'll stop sharing my screen unless somebody wants to keep it up. Me to keep it up. And were there any comments from the panel? Matt, I'll bring it back up if anybody needs it. So I'll stop sharing right now, just so we can
Yeah, that was really good explanation, but I still think the flying saucers that story kind of sounds more fun. So you're just killing it right now. So but yeah, that's is good, the walkthrough. I mean, if you don't have an idea of what you're looking at, then anything can be anything, So
exactly.
But yeah, so I think there was a question from Sinet Lisa, but that was from way before. So I don't know if she still would like to have that question, but I'll just go ahead and read it. She was saying that I have a question. Are the Nasud BT and the two ladies both representing upper and lower lands? Okay.
I'm sorry, say that. Repeat the question, please.
Are the Nasud BT and the two ladies both representing upper and lower lands? Okay, Kemet.
Yes. So, yep. To you. Nisud BT are the two emblems. There, the B is emblematic of lower Kemet, and the plant, sedge plant, of upper Kemet.
And then, yeah, that was the question.
Okay, yeah, and then the two ladies, you have Nekibet is upper Kemet and Wajet would be lower Kemet. All right, so was there anything else? Matter of fact, if you all can if y'all have any comments, by all means make them. I'm gonna open up the phone so we can have a little bit of time if anybody wants to call in. But I have to mute myself for a second.
Yeah, this was definitely I learned a lot in doing this exercise. So a lot of the people on the chat we learning as well. As we go along, we learning as well. Because, like I said, there was some stuff in there that I hadn't seen put like that before.
Mm-hmm. This was a good show.
Yeah, that was good actually. So it's kind of like the two lands is like I didn't even know we had three different definitions or three different ways of writing it. I know there's probably more, but that with I think we had the lily and the papyrus to show the two lands, and then we had the two crowns, the double crowns, and then obviously you have the one that we always see with the two lands. So that was good. For the other two, actually, that was a first for me to see it that way.
Yeah, I think the point was made is you can't use the lookership method. You have to realize it's actual written language with all the components of a written language, like pronouns, nouns, verbs, and so on. So it's just a great show to prove that point, drive that point home.
I think you need to go ahead and coin that word.
Which word was that?
Lookership.
Yeah, lookership. See, so let's define lookership. Lookership is defined as when someone uses the process that everyone uses, the initial process of looking at something, but that's all they do is when they look at something and then they come to their conclusions based on just looking at something. That's lookership. But looking at something is very, very initial and something that where we all start. Even a detective that's coming up onto a crime scene, you're definitely going to look. You're going to observe. That's part of observation. You got to observe and see what's going on and look at everything. But no detective or investigator is going to stop there or make conclusions based on just looking. You have to apply other methods and use other tools and things to further along your investigation to come away with accuracy. So lookership is not a bad. Lookership is when that's all people do, you know, but actually looking at something and doing comparisons, like, you know, to give credit, those glyphs, they do look like what you call it, they do look like flying crafts when you first look at them. Why? Because we're influenced by, you know, Hollywood sci-fi movies, and then we live in a world where we do have airplanes and stuff like that. So based on our exposure and experiences, we're gonna interpret, you know, we're gonna look at it and see what we see. But is it that? No. So you got to go beyond just lookership, you know, lookership. So, but we know that throughout the scientific process, observation is definitely part of it, but you cannot just end there. So that's a good thing to point out. But I posted the number if anybody wants to call in. We'll hang out for a little while longer, and if anybody had any questions and want to be heard, call in. The number was posted. The PIN number is posted, and hopefully we have it working properly for tonight. But call in if you want to call in. I'm sure there's some questions. But yeah, so yes. This should really equip people with enough information and you know, some foundation information to know and to discern that, okay, these glyphs are not flying crafts. They happen to look like that. And then just step back and think logically, right? Just think logically. Kemet is all up and down the Nile from you know, the first cataract all the way to the Mediterranean. All right. Now, out of the entire kingdom, empire, kingdom, country, or whatever, out of the entire kingdom, you mean to tell me that there's only one spot in one temple on one surface that has glyphs for something that flies in the air and can carry people at a time in ancient times? I mean, logically, that's just really silly. And I just have to say it, it's just stupid. Because if you live 3,000 to 5,000 years ago and you had access to something that can fly in the air and transport people, you best believe everybody would it would be something that is widely known and widely shown, repeated and stuff like that out of all the glyphs and stuff, you know. I mean, so it just doesn't make sense. You see the Ankh symbol everywhere more so than you, and the Ankh symbol is just a rope, or the Shenhu is a rope. So you see this rope, you mean tell me that a flying vehicle is not going to be shown everywhere, but they rather show a rope everywhere? You know what I'm saying? So
Well, that's not a grocery bag.
so, you know, that's what I'm saying. It's just real silly when, even if you don't even know any of this technical stuff, just go on pure logic. Just use, you know, common sense and logic that, you know, same thing with the light bulbs, you know, electricity in the light bulbs, you know, and stuff like that. So, I mean, It gets real safe. So I think we did have somebody call in. Let me see. Hopefully it's working. If we do, you want to introduce yourself? I want to make sure it's working. If you can hear me.
It is working. I can hear you clearly. It's Lisa.
Okay.
Chicago.
All right. ETM Hotep. All right, good. So we got this working now. Didn't have any technical problems at first. Yeah, if anybody else wants to call in. Yeah, did you have any questions?
Not right now.
Okay.
Hotep, Santi, Lisa.
Hotep. Yeah. While you're waiting, I was just wondering, like, it feels the spaceship. How would they translate that in the middle of that? You know, the translation and whatnot. You know, how would that work? And even if it's what they call UFOs or whatever it is. I mean, it's if they have identified it, then they have identified it. It's not an identified object anyway. But it would just be funny, trying to figure out how they would translate that.
Yeah.
Right there.
And see, people won't even look to translate it because you got people walking around thinking that the glyphs don't represent a language, that they're just symbolic pictures that hold the secrets of humanity. You know, that's what some people believe today, and that belief is based on the early European Renaissance folks, and even prior to that, you have the Greek historians that had that belief. And it's actually through that belief that carried over in today by way of the occult and more specifically theosophy, the Theosophical Society, Madame Blavatsky, all of those kinds of people that come out of that era of time and school of thought. They're the ones that look at, the hieroglyphs are secret language. You got to be initiated for 40 years before you can even read them, and this and that. And they hold the secrets to the universe and everything, not realizing that it's a writing system for the language that was spoken. And anytime you talk about esoteric information or whatnot, you're talking about just information that was known and made use of by a smaller amount of people relative to a large amount of people. That's all what esoteric is. The United States military is an esoteric organization. There are lots of information that is shared and spoken of inside the military that is not discussed among regular civilians of this country. So that alone is the definition of esoteric. But when people use it, the word esoteric, they want to use it in a mysterious, spooky way, as if, you got to go through something, astral project here and there and go to another planet, another solar system and stuff like that before you could receive this knowledge. And it's not like that at all. All right. What they're really talking about is figurative speech. Because I can use English and use English in such a way to where I'm speaking in a very highly figuratively, to where only people who know, the how I'm using it will be able to understand. Biblical people may understand this better as the word parables, because any Christians out there, you read in the Bible, Jesus spoke in parables, and I forgot that Bible quote, but there's a Bible quote where Jesus even talks about I think his students, his disciples asked him, he's like, yo, master, rabbi, Rabboni, why do you speak to the people in parables? And then Jesus gives his answer. I forgot what his answers are, but he basically says something to the effect of, I speak to them in parables because only those who know are going to know. Those who, have the information or of God are going to know. And then those who don't will not know, et cetera, et cetera. All right. We have another caller that called in. You want to introduce yourself? And
yeah, Hotep, this is Aziz.
all right, Hotep, brother Aziz. All right, you had any questions or comments?
No, I'm just listening in.
Okay. All right, good to have you on board. All right. So yeah, we're not going to stay on the live hangout portion too much longer because we are at 2 hours, and we like to keep these videos 2 hours. So we're going to pretty much close out. So if you want to continue the conversation, call in. The calling number was given a few times, so just go ahead and call in, and we can continue the conversation because the actual hangout only holds 10 people, and we're pretty much full. So call in, and we can continue the conversation for a little bit. But for now, I hope that everyone got some kind of education, edification, enlightenment from what was shared. Remember, the theme was royal titularies, which are royal titles of the king. And there's 5 in number from the 5th dynasty forward. And 2 of those 5 are usually contained in cartouche or Seshew. And then the other 3, you have the first one being the Heru name, and you'll see that associated with the Sarek. I showed that. The next one being the Nepti name, that's associated with the vulture and the cobra. And the third is the falcon up on the gold necklace, the golden falcon name, golden Heru name. And then the other 2, like I said, in the Seshew. So once you get used to that, then you start seeing these glyphs. Then nobody can tell you that, okay, these particular glyphs I was showing you are spacecrafts or flying crafts, if they don't want to go that far to say spacecrafts, but flying crafts. They're not helicopters. There's no archaeological find of helicopter parts in Kemet, or machinery to that effect, those kinds of gadgets and things. None. And I mean, I don't even want to say that to act like because that's the case, then it's not the flying those glyphs don't represent flying crafts. They just don't. Like we showed, they are 2 kings named Seti the First and his son Rameses the Second. Both of their titles overlapping each other. Remember, when Seti the First passed away, he was building the temple in Abydos. And when he passed away, his son took over, and his son commissioned the scribes to recarve, to take out his father's name, only in certain portions. Now, mind you, it was only in the outer hypostyle halls, and then Ramses has a temple himself in Abydos. But this particular temple is Temple of Seti the First, because most of it, there's 7 chambers in there dedicated to 7 major deities or Necharu. Those are full-fledged Seti the First work, or during his reign, and those are untouched. But it's only when you get to this outer hypostyle hall and maybe another in the courtyard, some glyphs in the courtyard and stuff, where you see his son just started, kind of erasing his father's name and put his name there. And I kind of chuckle because, if you say it like that, it seems like, okay, his son was trying to scrub his father out of existence. But no, it wasn't quite like that. Because if that was the case, he would have did the whole temple and just wiped everything out, chiseled everything away. But no, it wasn't like that. It's just that his son finished the job. All right. So anyway, with that said, I don't have anything. Anybody have any comments before we actually close out the live part? All right. Well, if not, then Sonnet Emiket, if you can close us out like you do so well.
All right. Yeah. Dua for this. I'm sure there's really a lot to learn. So yeah, definitely recommend that you watch, and just so you don't fall victim into that lookership stuff. You don't have to look at Hatshepsut for hours and hours and hours until it kind of forms up some kind of patterns in your head. There's a method that could save you time. So definitely get the book, and you'll learn the method of and figure out how to read the signs quicker and easier, so your eyes doesn't have to dry out and all of that stuff. But the book that you need to learn how to read all these glyphs that you've been seeing is A Beginner's Guide to mdw-ntr, and it's obviously by Wu Zhao. So get that. You can get it on the website. You can get it on Amazon. Get the book as well that our latest book, which is has the hieroglyphic writing system being deciphered, a rebuttal to Walter Williams. So get that as well. It goes through, actually, it can walk you through the very, the stuff that you need, to know the terminology and all of that stuff that you need to know before even you step into, learning the language. So I would recommend that you get both books and start with the decipherment book, and then get into the language and from the beginners as well. And we do have online classes that are actually starting soon. So if you haven't signed up yet for that, you can do that. There's still time, so, and it's 12 weeks classes. So I think by the end of the 12th week, you should be able to read most of the stuff that we're doing. And yeah, what else? If you have more questions or the other things that you wanted to add or correct, you can do that from our Facebook page, which is under Seshew mdw-ntr. That's where you can find us. That's where most of the discussions take place. So do join if you haven't joined yet. Make sure that you do subscribe to our YouTube page so you get notified, because sometimes we might actually have live sessions just out of the blue. We do have our Sabait Dome as well and all of that is not scheduled for any particular day. So you don't want to miss that. So do subscribe. And with that, I like to say, get an affair to those on the nighttime. And back on affair, we have Nature's TV watching from London. So back on affair to you. And Shema Motab, go in peace.